Welcome to Africa Whispers. If you like this content and would like to see more, please like and subscribe. And now for our story, The Cursed Thief of Lamu. The Cursed Thief of Lamu. A tale of greed, shadows, and a fate worse than hunger. A fair warning: greed does not just starve the stomach, it poisons the soul, whispering promises of satisfaction while slowly draining all that is good and true within. The ancient Swahili town of Lamu was a place where the sea sank to the shore, where the narrow stone streets wove between sun-baked houses, and where the scent of cardamom, cloves, and roasting fish filled the air from the bustling Konguni market. The elders told stories beneath the baobab trees, their voices thick with wisdom, while traders along the Indian Ocean coast battered in Swahili, Arabic, and Bantu tongues. But among the hard-working people of Lamu, there was one who did not toil, did not weave, did not fish, did not trade. Her name was Zalika, and she had two fatal flaws: laziness and greed. Where others fetched water from the wells or harvested mangoes and coconut, Zalika admired her own reflection in the polished brass mirrors sold by the Arab merchants. While women pounded ugali or dried fish under the hot sun, she lounged in the shade of the acacia trees, waiting for the kindness of strangers. For years, the villagers pitied her. But pity had its limits. One evening, as the golden sun sank behind the Lamu fort, Zalika went door to door, her arms folded, her face twisted in annoyance. "Sister, give me something to eat," she said to one woman. The woman shook her head, adjusting the colorful kitenge wrap around her waist. "Zalika, we all work to fill our bellies. You should too." She shut the door. Zalika knocked again, this time at the home of a fisherman, then at a blacksmith's hut, then at the tea seller's stall. Door after door shut in her face. For the first time, Zalika felt true emptiness. Not just of the stomach, but of the soul. She sat beneath a swaying coconut tree, her head against its rough bark. Hunger clawed at her, but worse than the hunger was the realization that she had nothing. No skill. No trade. No one willing to save her. Then, just as she was about to give up, she saw a flickering lantern in the distance, past the winding roads, near the edge of the mangrove forest. A tiny mud brick hut stood alone. And outside sat an old woman in a flowing black kanga, her silver bangles clinking softly as she stirred something in a clay bowl. A different kind of theft. Zalika stumbled forward, desperate. The old woman lifted her head, revealing a face lined with time, wisdom, and something else. Her milk-white eyes shone under the moonlight, sightless yet knowing. "Mama, please," Zalika begged, kneeling before her. "Give me food. I have nothing." The woman let out a slow sigh. "I have but one thing left," she said. "Not food, but water. It is all I have to keep myself alive tonight." She reached behind her and produced a small, cracked gourd, filled to the brim with clear, fresh water. "You may choose," the old woman said. "We can share it, or you may drink it all yourself." Zalika licked her lips, throat dry, her stomach twisted in hunger and thirst. She grabbed the gourd from the old woman's hands. And she drank. Every last drop. The old woman watched in silence. As soon as Zalika finished, she turned her back on the woman without a word of thanks and disappeared into the night, leaving the old woman with nothing. But as she walked away, she felt a prickle in the air, something ancient stirring, whispering through the trees. The unquenchable thirst. The next morning, Zalika woke to a terrible dryness in her mouth. She coughed, her tongue like sand, her throat burning. She ran to the village well, shoving past women filling their calabashes, dipping her hands into the cool, fresh water. But as soon as she drank, it turned to dust in her mouth. She gasped. She ran to the marketplace, where men sold sweet coconut milk in carved wooden cups. She grabbed one from a vendor, poured it into her mouth, and gagged. It had turned to salt. Panic clawed at her chest. She grabbed a young boy's cup of hibiscus tea, poured it down her throat. Bitter as poison. She collapsed onto the ground. Then she felt it. A writhing. A twisting. A buzzing. Zalika screamed as something crawled beneath her skin. She scratched at her arms, her belly, her fingers digging into flesh. The villagers backed away in horror. And then, they saw them. Cockroaches. Dozens, hundreds, thousands of writhing, black-bodied cockroaches poured from her mouth, from her ears, from beneath her nails. Her tears turned to insects. Her spit turned to filth. The people screamed and ran. Only one person did not move. The old woman stood among the crowd, her silver bangles glinting under the noonday sun. Her voice was soft but filled with power. You took what kept me alive, Zalika. Now you will know what it means to never be quenched. The fate worse than hunger. Zalika ran through the alleyways, past the ancient stone walls, past the baobab trees, past the sea cliffs, but no matter where she ran, the thirst never left her. She was cast to wander Lamu for eternity, drinking from rivers that would turn to ash, begging for water that would rot in her throat. And each time she cried out for help, only cockroaches came forth. Her voice was gone. Her pleas were unanswered. The villagers spoke of her in hushed whispers, calling her the Mchoi wa Kula Roho, the witch who consumes souls. And at night, under the full moon, if one listened carefully near the mangrove trees, one could still hear her. Coughing. Gasping. Dying of a thirst that would never end. And the old woman. She was never seen again. But the villagers knew she had never been just a woman. She was something older. Something that waited for the greedy. Something that watched from the shadows. Thank you for watching, and if you enjoyed this and would like to see more, please like and subscribe.